أيها الحضور الكرام، حياكم الله في مؤتمر الفن الإسلامي في نسخته الثانية في مديح الفنان الحرفي، نظرة تقييمية جديدة على الممارسة المعاصرة لفنون الحرف الإسلامية. والآن مع الجلسة الرابعة بعنوان الحرف اليدوية خلف العدسة، توثيق المهنة والحياة. يقدمها ويدير الحوار الدكتور محمد بن مشاري النعيم، أستاذ مساعد في الهندسة المعمارية بجامعة حائل. رحبوا معي بالدكتور محمد.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Actually, I would like to start by thanking and appreciating the organizers of Ithra and Al-Forzan for this amazing conference and occupying programs, which is very inspiring and really well deserved for the artisans. They actually deserve this intellectual hub. Secondly, I would like to appreciate the audience for being here today, because it's been a very long day, and it was like very dense topics with lots of information to digest and take note of. So I really appreciate all of you being here. And I would like to start by what my colleagues in the previous session has ended with, which is Dr. Bastian and Yusuf al-Rashid, where they mentioned that the storytelling is significant for the artisans because it gives the crafts an importance and contextualize the craft and the object, which actually give it a meaning. So that's why in our session today we gather to explore this intersection of media production, also the storytelling and filming in preserving the rich heritage of artisans in the Islamic world. So today we have three extraordinary speakers, which we will explore with them this creative industry and how they are empowering the artisans and preserving their legacy and fostering deeper understanding of human stories behind their crafts. So our first speaker, we have Johnny Hansen, which he is current editor-in-chief of Aramco World magazine in USA. And then later on, we're gonna have Isabel Fernandez, which an awarded-winning filmmaker based in Barcelona and Spain. And last but not least, we're gonna have Yasin Salazar, which is a seasoned documentary filmmaker with over 20 years of experience. So thank you for being with us today, and I would like to welcome Johnny Hansen to the stage to take us through crafts behind lens for the Aramco magazine world. Thank you.
Thank you, Mohammed. Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon. So, thank you again, Ithra. Thanks for everybody for coming tonight. This program so far has just been really amazing. I did my first Sadu weaving today, where I actually took strands and wrapped them gingerly around other strands to try to weave it. And if you wait 20 years, you may have a rug if I was making it. But this is really wonderful. And as I was sitting and reflecting a little bit about the title of the title of the conference, In Praise of the Artisan, I was just reminded that God made us with these great features, the ability to do so many things. He gave us the ability to be creative and to explore the world in ways that we can never imagine. And in Aramco world, I feel like we're a vehicle that is able to tell the stories of these wonderful artisans. So in a way, Aramco world is in praise of the artisans as well. I feel like we get to tell these wonderful stories, these artisans, and we're really blessed to do that. So just real quick, I'm kind of curious how many people have actually heard of Aramco world before? We got a lot of friendlies in the house. All right, great. Before we get started into the talk a little bit, I just wanted to start a brief video because this is a very special year for us. So hopefully this plays.
What do you discover with the turn of each page? A cultural bridge since 1949. Aramco World Stories become connections from wonder to community. Creativity to innovations, expressions to artistry, taste to rhythms, and history to heritage. So turn a page, discover, and celebrate with us. 75 years of connections, stories, and culture.
So that's great, huh? 75 years. It's pretty exciting for us. This is our 75th special issue, and everybody can get a copy. There will be outside and at our booth, at our exhibit. But before I go on to tell you more about Aramco World, I wanted to give everybody a little test. And you're like, wait, I didn't sign up for this. In 2014, MIT scientist Mary Potter did a study with her team, and what she found is that the human brain can recognize an image as fast as 13 milliseconds. It's very fast. What you're about to see is a series of 12 images in a burst, and I want to test your recall, okay? We'll see how it goes here. Got it? That was pretty fast, huh? I'll give you one more try. Here. Okay, you saw the images. Here's our friend Alcide. Many of you know him. Was he in this series of photos that you saw? Was he yes or no? Yes, very good. This is a picture of airplanes. Was this in the series of photos? Oh. Yeses and nos? All right. This beautiful scene here, was this in the series of pictures? No. Was this late? Oh, yes, the resounding yes. Great. Okay. Great. So why do we do this? To me, as a photojournalist for many, many years, I wanted to show the power of an image. Imagery, the brain thrives on imagery, right? We can absorb it very quickly, and it has impact. And the one thing you probably may have recognized with which you got right and what you got wrong, is that particularly what the brain loves are faces and eyes. They love it. The brain will, if you put something with a face and something without a face, your eye will instantly go to the face. Great. So let me move on. So thank you for taking the test. We'll come back to the power of imagery in a little bit here. But really what I wanted to do today is kind of introduce the talk. We're going to talk a little bit about Aramco World and its history. I have not been around for the 75 years, but I've been a little part of that. The mission of the magazine, and how we tell stories through traditional arts and culture, arts and crafts. Great. So the brief history. First issue of Aramco World, November 1st, 1949, an inter-office newsletter called the Double A. What was happening in that time in 1949 was, we just got out of World War II, was kind of wrapped up. Aramco as a company actually hit 500,000 barrels of oil. We had offices in San Francisco. Our headquarters had moved to New York. We had offices in Tehran, in Europe. And so what they saw was the president at the time, Bill Moore, wanted to create an intercompany newsletter to connect these offices, to share information, and to bring people together. In fact, this is what he wrote. We hoped this publication, I'll summarize, but we hope this publication will enable us to get better acquainted with ourselves, with each other. So from the very start, this little publication was meant to bring people together. Now, AA, he didn't like that name. So what did he do? He put out a call to name the magazine. The winner of that, the naming contest, which ended up being Aramco World, was a young girl, an employee's daughter out of the San Francisco office named Annie Trust. And for her efforts, she won 50 US silver dollars, equivalent of like $500 today, or like 1,800 reals, something like that. But and so the reason why her name was selected is Bill Moore said that the naming was concise, and what it did was it actually spoke to the mission and vision of what he wanted that publication to do, which was connect global markets and connect employees globally, mostly. Great. So 1949, over the years, the magazine has evolved. It primarily focused on company news, but then evolved into more culture. You see in like early 1960s, it actually took on, some of you may remember Look magazine and Life magazine. They were trying to strive for that feel, and when they did that, they actually kind of went toward a more external audience at that time, trying to kind of reach more audiences outside of the company. And so, yeah. And today, here we are a multi-channel, multi-platform publication reaching millions and millions of people across the globe with just amazing stories. And want to tell you a little bit about our mission. We are part of Aramco's corporate citizenship efforts. And to me, it's mind-boggling, actually, when I stand here to think about it, is that you have a company investing over 75 years in this kind of effort. Aramco World inspires global connections that broaden the appreciation of diverse cultures. We believe in celebrating our shared experiences through engaging and educational stories and content. And so that's who we are. And just to show you a little bit about our reach, some of you who are familiar, this has been your kind of like little secret gem, and I get that a lot in airplanes and stuff when I have the magazine. But this magazine has power to reach a lot of different people. Here's an example in Indonesia of children who are, it's used as an educational tool from Indonesia to Austin, Texas. So that's really cool part of what we do, and it's just, to me, I'm blown away by that. Great. We talked about our history, we talked about our mission, and now I want to go through a little bit about how we photograph stories about arts and crafts. October 1953, our first cover story on Oriental rugs. This is the first time on a cover story that we featured some kind of traditional craft. In the story, the writer gave just kind of like a basic overall summary of what Oriental rugs were, where they were made, how they were made, the motifs. And then here we are today. This is a reveal, actually, and so in 2025 we are going to. We were talking about this issue, the Oriental rugs, and we're like, hey, we need to do another story. We need to do something about rugs again. So in 2025 we're going to do a story on the Azeri rug traditions in Georgia, and so that's your sneak peek for a future issue. I love this. Positive connections, and this goes to the heart of what we do. When you see this picture, kind of what does this like make? What does this evoke in you as far as emotions? Like, I mean, how do you not want to hang out with these guys? You know what I mean? And this goes to the power of imagery and the power of photographs. Imagery, I'll get emotional about this. Photography has an emotional, it draws you in emotionally. So what you show in a photograph is important, it has meaning. Positive connections. So we all have positive connections. This is just a slide to just share, like, we love positive connections because that's part of our mission. We want to show the world really, truly for what it is. People, families love each other. People love each other. People get together and hang out and enjoy each other. You know, we are cluttered with the media of negative imagery, and that's not who we are as Aramco World. So let me ask you a question. Why is it important to make these kinds of connections? Anybody? This is an interactive discussion, I'm sorry. Tolerance, understanding, yeah. It's important to bring people closer to places that they may not be as familiar with, right? Great. So we talked about how we make these. So we talked about how we make these connections and why those connections are important. And now let's get a little bit, dig in a little bit closer to how we do this. And you know, we are. You know, I'm kind of I sit behind a desk all day, so I'm not necessarily in the field, but we have people out in the field that do this work. And so we're with the people, we're with the artists, we're with the craftsmen. And here you have former editor Richard Dowdy in Cairo, and here, Ian Bancroft in Bosnia. And I wanted to show you a little bit about the process that we do to tell a story and how this actually, like, to me, I was fascinated by this when I first came across this. And this is 1961, the Potters of Ankara, not too far from here, right? And so what the photographer did is, you know, here we see a potter, Tahir bin Ali, you know, making his pottery, showing how he makes it. And then this is very unique. This is unique to Aramco World. So what kind of stands out on this page to you? Is there any particular image that stands out? The lady on the right. She somehow doesn't feel like she fits in the mix, huh? Well, you're right. So the interesting thing about this is that this is the way Aramco World tells stories. She, I believe her name is, I forgot her name, but she actually took a local workshop in the same tradition of pottery. She was a housewife of an employee at Aramco at the time, but we did not have to put this picture in this story. We could have just told the story about the potter, how they work, but this is an Aramco World story. So we have to show this connection to something, someone new, and that's what we do so well. Great. Now, this is cool. I'm going to walk you through a little bit about how we work with photographers in the field, since this is like through the lens. And this is Samantha Rayner's photographed this kanga cloth in Zanzibar. And so what we did is we talked to Sam and we said, this is a very complicated, interesting cloth, and we want to show it in all its dimensions. And so we kind of coached her and talked about like the ways we would do this. And so, you know, you start with how it's drawn up, how it's designed, how it's made. Look at the juxtaposition here of like, here it is given a sense of place, and then you have this great motion of she's beautiful. And then here Sam goes out of her way to show the people for who they are. You know, here it's wonderful. It was very important to share the kanga cloth because each one of these has a special, unique message in it, based on the color, some of the wording in it, things like that. So we wanted to show the diversity, and we in the spread we actually said what each piece of cloth meant. this is a nice, very beautiful, intimate image, and it shows the utility of the cloth. And again, this is another Aramco World thing, which I think is cool, is that we go out of our way to tell the histories of these things. And so we go back to the archives, and whenever we can't always do it, but we want to show the tradition behind each. Even if we're telling a contemporary story, we want to share the tradition behind it. And just so sweet. And then Sam's a pro, so she took it to another level and showed another wonderful utility of this cloth in an amazing way, is that they actually use this cloth to fish with as well. It's amazing. That's just that's one textile, multiple uses. Carry a baby, fish. So here, for decades, Aramco World's photography has been capturing the beauty of diverse arts and crafts from around the world, sharing the stories behind them. This image here by Debasham shows, what she did is she was smart as a photographer and backlit this photo. And it was really important because she made this not about the person putting this textile together. She made it about the textile. And that's a smart photographer move, actually. Because they obviously had a purpose to show that cloth, to show that textile. Through photography, we share the process of how crafts are made. Here we take readers to Indonesia for a story about wood carving traditions. Joseph Bringilo. Joseph brings you a little bit closer look at how it's done. But then this is my favorite part, is that there he is. He brings them in, and then here he is out there, the maker. This is another. I don't know if anybody's ever tried to cut tile before, but I ended up with a bunch of cuts and bleeding all over the place, and it's not fun. But here is another example of how Peter Sanders, excuse me, not Peter Sellers. Peter Sanders would be really mad at me right now. The wonderful Peter Sanders, who was, we all love, and but he shot this for us, and basically, he went through and actually showed the whole process of the zellige tile, because it is so intricate and it's so difficult, and they do it upside down, and it's just so he went through and showed from the kiln to the glazing to spacing it out to carving it to putting in the it's just every bit of this is just meticulous work, and so Peter really did a great job of highlighting this, and then the reveal showing it, and it's mind-blowing. Here, we go to Tunisia, and where we share stories of cultural art preservation. And this story is really cool. Sadika Kaskis is a glassmaker, a Tunisian glassmaker, but what she did is she actually started an artisanal furnace back up that was a style that had been dead for 600 years, and she restarted it again. And so George Azar photographed this for us, and he just did a great job, and I just love this story. Aramco World photographs play a vital role in promoting cultural understanding and appreciation. This photo grabs me because we've all done this, right? We've all been in awe of something. And so here, former editor Richard Dowdy makes this wonderful photo from the Alhambra and connects. I have like 20 seconds left, so I'm going to kind of flow through these pretty quick, okay? Aramco World's photography challenges stereotypes and perceptions of different cultures. Where is this photo taken? Who can guess? Tennessee, United States. That's an Aramco World story. No, so this jingle truck in Tennessee, and it's amazing. We find these cultural connections. It's great. Aramco World stories promote intercultural dialogue, connecting generations, right? This is so important. Aramco World stories share long-standing traditions and preserve cultural heritage. And I'm almost done, so I'm going to wrap up pretty quick. Armin Durgat in Bosnia took this photo, and what I love about this, it really shows the craftsmanship, and look at that. Come on. Mine would not look like that. I'm back to El Cid. We'll bookend them. I want to leave you with this final image I took in Houston, Texas. It's a picture I made at the University of Houston campus where calligraphy artist El Cid created this mural. Here, the impact of this photo is not only seeing something unique, but it's shared. Instead of painting a quote or a proverb in Arabic, El Cid, the ultimate bridge builder, wrote a quote from early 1800s Texas historical figure Sam Houston, whose birth name is, that's why the city of Houston. And the quote reads this: "Knowledge is the food of genius, and my son, let no opportunity escape you to treasure up knowledge." And I truly believe this is at the core of what we do. As a global print digital publication, it is our job to make these global connections. And so with that, let us all store up treasures and knowledge and be a positive connection around the world. Thank you.
شكرا سيد جوني. ننتقل الآن إلى المحاضرة التالية مع المنتجة والمخرجة إيزابيل بعنوان أهمية الحرف اليدوية الناصرية في صنع فيلم بناة قصر الحمراء. رحبوا معي بإيزابيل.
Good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum. Thanks, Ithra and the Ithra team and Alfozan for organizing this event and for allowing me to be part of it. My name is Isabel Fernandez. I'm a film director, writer, and producer based in Barcelona. My work is focused on exploring the borders of reality and fiction to create meaningful stories that talk about the human being, about culture and society. My approach to filmmaking is always guided by crafting stories that matter, with the potential to move the spectators and to help understanding each other, ignite imagination, create connections and social change. I'm in love with history, and more specifically with the time and a part of history that it's part of my identity too. And this is, of course, the world and the period of Al-Andalus. A time that I think it's been underestimated and poorly transmitted to a wide audience. As a huge bridge between cultures, Al-Andalus has different interpretations depending on the place where we observe where the observer is placed, but it is undeniable. There is a constant reference when we talk about diversity, culture, peace, civilization, interreligiosity, and understanding. As a Spanish woman, I feel in debt to my ancestors. And I have always felt that a huge part of the history of the Iberian Peninsula was missing. I'm a devoted admirer of the Andalusian architecture, but I realized I really had a very little knowledge about the people who were responsible of that legacy. Al-Andalus has been always explained from the point of view of the history of art, avoiding the human factor. And how can one understand itself with such an enormous part of our history erased or skipped or poorly told? The Palace of Comares is my preferred place in the world. And this architectural space, which I have visited many times, provokes in me always a deep emotion. Even I'm not an Arabic speaker person, so I'm missing an important part to understand this building, which is, I don't know how many of you know, it's at the same time a big architectural project, but also a literary project at the same time. So I wanted to know who were the makers of these wonderful spaces, what was happening to them at that time, what were they searching when they were in the process of making them, and how did they manage to execute it so magnificently. That is why I decided to carry out a film project to talk for the first time about the creative human process and purpose behind the construction of the Nasrid palaces. Today I'm going to share with you the key aspects of the project and the essential roles that the crafts and craftsmanship in shaping the structure of the film had, from the writing to filming and editing and to complete the documentary. And I hope that my experience can inspire all of you in the project that you are involved today to give back craftsmanship its role as an expression of art that is not inferior to the fine arts, and that is important to keep alive if we want to conserve and maintain the cultural diversity alive, evolving, and also to promote understanding between societies and cultures. On the screen, I have the headlines of the aspects that I will enter during the talk, which are the idea, how we launched the project and summarize the obstacles and partnerships that were needed, how we discover Ibn al-Khatib's chroniclers and his character, and the amazing thing that we built to make this unprecedented artistic scientific collaboration, the role of the advisors in writing, and the role of the advisors, especially in recreating the Nasrid Granada world, to articulate this trip from present to past through the objects, the crafts, and the workshops. And then, if we have time, summarize a short view to the impact of the film. When a work of art moves us, there is always behind the soul of a human being trying to communicate with arts through that artwork. The Alhambra is for me a symphony of poetry, proportion, and the finest craftsmanship, and all these elements mixed give the building its unique character. To connect with the human side of the building, we understand from the beginning that we need to fill the iconic Nasrid palaces with the people who lived there and were responsible for its creation, and to bring the world of Nasrid Granada to life. Second layer goals were to use Granada to vindicate the roots of Islam in Europe, show how peace can facilitate the flourishment of arts, and reveal how the most heartbreaking work of art emerged from a collective effort. The plan was ambitious, but possible. The vast majority of the questions I wanted to tackle were answered by historical and scientific research, but never put together to be delivered to a general audience. This is an independent production, so the initiative is private. The main difficulty to start the project was getting the support of the board of the Alhambra, which I won't explain in detail because it will be long. It took a while, and finally I managed to convince them. After that, we got the collaboration of the University of Granada, and later on the Spanish National Research Council, THESIC, and the School of Arab Studies in Granada. Then we had to embark with many partners to make the film's finance liable. It took 4 years to have all the parties on board. As you can see, this was a project with many voices, which was increasing the complexity of the process, but at the end, all of this has affected positively to make a film with a message that touches the soul of people all over the world. Other institutions were connecting afterwards, like, for example, the Andalusian Legacy Foundation and Neuro Foundation. So at the end, we end up with almost everyone connected with preservation or communication of the Nasrid legacy, collaborating with the film in a way or another. I'm interested in people and in human histories, in what we call character-driven documentaries. So when we start working with the advisors, it was clear from the beginning that we were going to need a character who channels the story. I thought we may need to craft a fictional persona with the collaboration of the historians and advisors, a fictional character who helped us to create an emotional connection with the spectator of the film without being a particular historical character. But when the scriptwriting team started receiving the documentation, papers, research, publication, Ibn al-Khatib, the chronicler of Yusuf I and his son Muhammad V, emerged not just as a source of information, but a first-hand witness and a protagonist of the story. So he's a man who lived in the Nasrid palaces during its construction, the right hand of the two kings who built the palaces of Comares and Lions, and with a relevant paper in the poetical concept of the building. So if that wasn't enough, Ibn al-Khatib's life has all the elements of a Shakespearean drama in his relationship with the two kings. He took, naturally, the voice of the narration and rewrote the script through his subjective voice based on his chronicles. In this shot, Ibn al-Khatib is sitting in his desk in the Wan al-Insha, which was one of the most elaborated settings of the film in terms of artwork, because the art team of the film made many replicas of medieval manuscripts, books, and other documents that become protagonists of the sequences. We even included a museum piece in this setting, which I don't know if it's visible in this picture, but it is an astrolabe of the 14th century, which was lent by the Andalusian Legacy Foundation. So its caretakers were on set during the shooting, properly handling the piece. Ibn al-Khatib rich and detailed descriptions of the Granada common day life as centered on the images of the objects as on the philosophical and political statements were key to start shaping the visual world of crafts that would help us to reconstruct the 14th Granada century, or the Granada of the 14th century, sorry. The inputs of the experts of the Alhambra restoration workshops, the history of art scholars, and the artist of the University of Granada, and many other experts on different parts of the Nasrid and Al-Andalus period, with a list of more than 20 advisors during the process, were complementing, contrasting, reinforcing, or refuting Ibn al-Khatib's information. Me as a director, the writers, and the members of the art department of the film were building the project in a continuous dialogue in which has been an unprecedented artistic scientific collaboration to produce a film in Spain. And I want to invite you to watch this small portion of the process in the video that I hope starts running now.
Los constructores del Alhambra lo que está contando es la historia de los hombres y mujeres que habitan ese tiempo y ese espacio y que son los responsables de la construcción de los palacios nazarís. Pues lo que tiene distinto este documental es que por primera vez se da vida a esas paredes, a esos muros y a toda esa arquitectura que fascina, impacta tanto al que la visita. Hay muchos documentales de la Alhambra. Lo que hace este documental, que no se ha hecho hasta ahora, es un esfuerzo muy grande de poner en imágenes el máximo posible de todo eso, para que se entienda qué pasaba ahí.
El cine documental es una parte muy específica y muy técnica, es decir, que no te da la libertad que nosotros normalmente tenemos en cine, ¿no? Que podemos ahí pues, explayarnos y hacer unos decorados un poco intencionados, ¿no? Aquí teníamos que estar muy al límite de todo lo que realmente estábamos, que era una época muy determinada, ¿no?
Entonces hay que ser muy rigurosos en todo, muy rigurosos en la historia, muy rigurosos en los elementos, muy rigurosos en todo lo que sale en pantalla. O sea, que nadie pueda ver un error.
Pienso que la dificultad en esta película es no tenemos una referencia de comportamiento. ¿Cómo hacemos un diálogo andalusí de la época? Es una responsabilidad también de ser auténtico. Pero hay cosas que no sabemos.
No hay referentes, no teníamos referentes de nada. Desde cómo viste un personaje hasta cómo estarían sentados los miembros del Diwan al-Insha en el suelo, o estarían... O sea, absolutamente todo ha tenido que ser preguntado porque cada paso era una duda.
Porque esta película es muy informativa sobre la época y sobre la cultura árabe verdadera.
Un reto enorme es conseguir que la Alhambra se alinee y luego poder rodar ahí dentro. Incluso cuando ellos ya están alineados, el edificio tiene unas peculiaridades que son inevitables con toda la voluntad del mundo.
Porque realmente en la Alhambra nos dejaban rodar de 8 de la tarde a 10 de la noche, o sea que había que rodar en ese horario y no hay tiempo para iluminar. Entonces hemos intentado hacer casi todo con la luz disponible, con la luz natural. De hecho, por ejemplo, hay una secuencia en la que teníamos permiso para 3 técnicos y 2 actores, entonces yo pasé a ser actor, porque así podíamos tener un técnico más. Entonces, bueno, había que tomar soluciones de ese tipo.
Y para el nivel de trabajo fotográfico, actoral, de planificación, tienes un margen de 2 horas y tener un resultado como si estuvieras en un set.
Luego había varios escenarios, ¿no? Pero quizá uno de los más complicados era el Diwan, que es el espacio donde están los arquitectos, los filósofos, los poetas, los médicos, ¿no? Todos juntos allí. Entonces para nosotros esto ha sido un gran reto porque teníamos que ubicarlo fuera de la estancia de lo que es la Alhambra.
Pues de las escenas más difíciles de rodar del documental, obviamente han sido recreaciones históricas con cromas grandes, recreando acciones en esos andamios del siglo XIV que luego vamos a ubicar dentro de los palacios nazaríes y que nos van a servir para recrear el proceso de construcción.
Empezamos haciendo unos concepts, que son unos dibujos a mano alzada, para poderlas consensuar con el cliente, en este caso con el director, con el patronato, para que históricamente tengamos bien los criterios de construcción del edificio y poder generar luego a posteriori el escenario en 3D.
La intención de este documental es que no sea para un público específico al que le interesa la historia y al Al-Ándalus, sino que es un documental que va para un público amplio y queremos que abra un poco una puerta a un mundo enorme y muy potente que nos es muy cercano y muy extraño.
Thank you. I hope you were able to read the subtitles because I hadn't checked that. The size of them before. So, the script we wrote is a synthesis work of many research academic papers, experts interviews, and Chroniclers of Ibn al-Khatib, the two essential creative decisions we made to make the film a vivid human story and engaging for the viewer were first that Ibn al-Khatib was going to play the role of the chronicler who tells the story of the construction connected to his own story too, and second, that the film will put the audience in a fabricated time that allows the story to go from present to past through the calligraphy in the walls, the Nasrid tiles, the artisan work, and the crafts in the market, for example, in a market of the 14th century Granada. So the objects and the fidelity to its making were going to be essential for the shooting. Recreating the Nasrid Granada had a second level of difficulty. We have to give physicality to a world that we have no references from. The role of the advisors during the filming and post-production increased and became crucial. Many questions were raised that the experts did not have answers to, because during their academic or research work, they didn't have had the need to answer. So we give some homework to the scholars and technicians of the Alhambra workshops. For example, for the recreation of the Nasrid court, we paid attention to the symbolism and the iconography of power represented in the paintings of the ceiling of the king's room in the Palace of Lions. And we also used that reference for the custom of the court. To give materiality to the metaphor of the walls that talk, we filmed the intervention of the restoration technicians in different parts of the building. In the same way as we filmed the recreation of the Nasrid artisans' work, these images are edited in the film in a constant dialogue between the present and the past in an intent to recreate on screen the power of evocation that the archaeological remains have to ignite our imagination and to put us on a trip from present to past. The biggest effort in this sense are the sequences that follow in detail the creation of the ceiling of the Palace of Comares. This is a masterpiece of the Andalusian carpentry and the most symbolic piece of the Alhambra complex. The film talks of the transcendent goal behind the ceiling while following the work of the artisans, enhancing the importance of their work. The philosophical aspiration of Emir Yusuf I to crown his throne room with this celestial dome and the challenge that this quest represents to his artisans are represented in a group of sequences that treat the work as a puzzle that has to be resolved and which mixes information about the techniques of the Nasrid artisans with explanations about their purpose, reinforced with visual metaphors of the skies. All the documents that appear in the film are replicas of originals from different libraries and museums in the world. In this picture, for example, we have a plan that is copy from one original that is kept in the Royal Academy of Fine Arts in San Fernando, but we made replicas of 2 Nasrid Qurans from the 14th century that are kept in the Paris National Library. We replicate some maps, Al-Idrisi's maps. We replicated some books, as for example, the Treaty on Agriculture by M. Luyun, and other manuscripts from the 14th century to build up the library of the Alhambra. Important questions arose continuously that must be researched, as for example, how to stage the wood workshops. Where could the wood workshops be placed during the construction of the ceiling, or when were the artisans that were painting the pieces of that ceiling. This Comares ceiling sequence is a central part that tells a story from the commissioning of the work to the painting of the more than 8,000 panels of pieces that make it up. Also reveals the symbolism of that ceiling, which recreates the firmament and the seven heavens. In the sequences of wood, plaster, and painting works, the extras who play the role of craftsmen are the same craftsmen who made the replicas for the recreations in the film. And in turn, they are carpenters and ceramists who regularly work on the repairs and restoration of the Alhambra complex. We repeated the process of Comares with the construction of the Dome of the Two Sisters room in the Palace of Lions. We visually reconstruct the entire process from concept of the muqarnas and the essays in paper of the pieces, breaking down the puzzle of its construction to allow the secrets of its composition to be easily seen and understood until reaching its intricate and striking result that simulates stalactites that decorate the ceilings and the arcs in that room. The restoration workshop of the Alhambra produced a plaster replica of a central piece of the Nasrid calligraphy from the walls of Comares to recreate the construction works inside the building with fidelity. The documentary art department built also a replica of the famous horologe of 1362, a medieval piece designed to control time and read poetry during the celebration of the Maulid festival that Mohammed V organized inside the Alhambra when he came back to power. Its design and evolution are also a significant part of the plot of the film, and we donated this piece to the Patronato, and it's now in their museum. The celebration of the Maulid is also recreated following the detailed descriptions of Ibn al-Khatib in his texts, with a display of pottery and other objects, customs, lights, and even medieval Andalusian cuisine dishes, all following his story to the letter. Of course, the construction works were a significant part of the project that you have seen in the video before. The design and type of scaffolding and building interventions were the result of long discussions between the technicians of the Alhambra and the university, the film art team, and our CGI team, until we got a model that could satisfy all the parts involved. The most complex of these works was this aerial shot that shows a view of the Alhambra complex as it should have been in 1342. This shot took 2 months of designs and discussions going back and forward to synthesize all the partial studies that talked about the plan of the building at that time. To end this presentation, I want to share with you some of the most iconic shots we filmed. They are all moments in which a protagonist is in meditation, contemplation, or wonder in front of the beauty created by the Nasrid artisans. In this, we have Ibn al-Khatib turning around himself under the ceiling of Comares. Here we have Mohammed V walking through his palace of lions, completed. And here again, Ibn al-Khatib contemplating the perfection of Comares' patio while reciting some verses of poetry from the walls of the Alhambra. I will go fast with this. So the film had a big success in Spain. In Granada, it was on screens in theaters for 5 weeks. This is really amazing for a documentary, even for fictions. It was the most watched film in all these 5 theaters during the first weekend, and there was a film on Disney and some other big blockbuster the same time. And in Spain, it was for 2 months screened in 63 cinemas and become the third most watched documentary of the country. It has been in several festivals in Spain and abroad, and many screenings have been organized, especially in the Maghreb, where it has been in almost all the capitals in Morocco, Algeria, Tunis, Libya, and well, in places that sound strange for me at the beginning, as for example, Buenos Aires with the film. When they call us to organize the screenings, I was kind of shocked that they organized 3 screenings in Buenos Aires that were an incredible success, 1,500 people, and they were most of them complaining because some came from other cities, and they were asking how to. So there's a big diaspora on South America that it's continuously contacting on how to watch the film. It's been in Spain in 2 platforms, in RTV, will be in Canal Sur, it's been in Arte France and Germany because they are partners, and ORF Austria, Al Jazeera documentary, and TRT screened, I think, last month. To end, I just want to say that I believe that to understand our past, I truly believe that we need to understand our past story to better understand our present and our future. My interest is to explore narratives that can connect with audiences in the 21st century and build bridges between culture and as much people as possible. Crafts, because of their materiality and common use, are an incredible medium to help us shape a story that connects us with the common daily life of other people far from us in the time or geographically. Their contact with the daily life has the power to create empathy and connect people, allowing us to immerse ourselves in history in a closer and more human way. This was the idea that we applied in the film, and it worked successfully. But I also think that there is a wide unexplored field for cooperation between cinematographic language and museums to create projects that are aimed to reach diverse audiences, especially young people. Create emotion, sparkle imagination as a conclusion, expand culture for a wide audience. Thanks very much for your attention. I think you have found this interesting.
شكرا إيزابيل. نرحب الآن بالمخرج ياسين سلازار، حيث يأخذنا في رحلة بعنوان تصوير الحرفيين في أماكن عملهم. رحبوا معي بياسين.
السلام عليكم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. I would like to begin by saying thank you sincerely and profoundly to the organizers of this exhibition and this conference. It's really a remarkable accomplishment. Understanding a little bit behind the scenes of the challenges faced putting the exhibition together in itself is such a remarkable achievement. And I'm proud for you. Having the wisdom and foresight to put together an exhibition of this nature is really a beautiful and profound thing. And congratulations for bringing it to bear under the challenges that you have. So, well done. I just want to start by saying congratulations to Isabel as well. That was a remarkable presentation. And the accomplishment to create a film of the nature that you have is, to my mind, almost unimaginable. To be able to have the access to a site such as the Alhambra, to create a film, a feature film in the way that you have, is extremely rare. You know, creating any kind of, when you're lugging cameras and boxes and luggage and tracks and all the things that you need to create a film, it can be, you know, quite I don't want to say destructive, but it can have an impact. So it's quite rare to be given such access. And to see only just, you know, the clip that you showed us and the stills that you've shared with us today, I feel emotional to see the work that you've undertaken and achieved. So, felicitaciones. That's really a wonderful thing to see. It ties in nicely to the project that I was tasked with undertaking this year. Probably over a year, just over a year ago, a year and a half ago or so, I was reached out to by Dr. Idris Trevathan to see if I would help capture some audiovisual materials that would be utilized within the exhibition space, which is in the G3 gallery downstairs where the exhibition is. And I immediately said, well, I would be deeply honored to, and very, very grateful to help out with. In discussion then, I realized what they wanted was this vertical imagery, this material that would be used in conjunction in the exhibition space, sort of next to the exhibitions, that would be sort of in the place of a written plaque that you would normally see in you know, less prestigious institutions, to tell a little bit of the story of the artisans, the artists and the artisans who've contributed, or some of the artisans that have contributed to this exhibition. I considered it, and of course I said yes, but when I realized that the nature of the films would only really be limited to sort of 2.5 minutes to tell each story, I kind of felt like this was a missed opportunity if we only limited ourselves to this very short time frame. Gently pleaded and pushed and hassled and did my best to coerce Dr. Idris to allowing me to unpack these wonderful stories, incredibly rich and beautiful stories, into a slightly longer version, and to then put those stories together to create a documentary film, which, to my mind, you know, helps to increase the amplification of the message and the information which is contained in this incredible exhibition, obviously through the digital sphere to a huge and wide audience. So I felt like it was worth pushing that endeavor. And alhamdulillah, he very kindly agreed to allow me to put together this longer film, which I've spent the last year or so dedicating my life and time to. So I think, I wrote this presentation about 3 weeks ago in the middle of my editing process, so it'll be a surprise for me as much as for you, I think. That was the why. So we'll move on to why a documentary film? Well, to use the material that I already have captured to amplify the aims and purposes of the exhibition, and also, as I said, to expand upon the subject matter of the films. 2 minutes to tell any story is incredibly short time. I've spent 5 minutes just introducing myself and the origins of this project. So I felt compelled to, and actually even 10 minutes is a remarkably short amount of time to tell a story in the audiovisual sort of documentary film medium, which, you know, it's constrained as well by the nature of the medium as well. You need a beginning, a middle, and an end for each chapter that you're telling. So even within that, 10 minutes doesn't do justice to the incredibly beautiful and profound stories that I encountered in each of the locations that I spent time in. And also, I hope, God willing, that it will increase the longevity of the exhibition and and help really to promote the work of the artisans and artists who have been captured in here. If it goes some small way to broadening their reach to an audience, then alhamdulillah, my job is done, inshallah. So we'll move on to the who. We decided that we should contain 7 of the artisans. There are many more who've contributed to the exhibition. So we had to sort of narrow down, well, who should we include in this film? And you know, we were very much spoiled for choice, and this was one of the challenges, actually, was trying to work out who would be the right personalities and contributors. And really the main criteria for this was to show the diversity within the Islamic traditional artistic and artisanal tradition. So my apologies for anyone that, you know, there are any number of other artisans and artists that we could have included, but for that sort of reason, and also logistical and, you know, the sake of what would be achievable in the time frame permitting, we decided upon the following artisans. We'll begin with Shuaib Sanchez, who himself and his team endeavored to create a really incredible, well, remarkable piece of pottery and ceramics. I presume everyone here has been down to the gallery space and encountered it for themselves. And if you have, then you're probably aware of its breathtaking beauty and an astonishing creation. Having spent time documenting the process for the production of this piece, it only increases the impressive nature of the production, of the creation of what they've produced. Shuaib, in his own words in the film, says he's not even sure. I went to him at the beginning of the process, and he said, I'm not even sure if I'm going to be able to create what I'm setting out to create. It's potentially above my means as a ceramicist. And goodness knows he's probably one of the best ceramicists in Spain. The piece itself is emblematic, probably, of the height of the culture and the civilization in Spain at that time, which all ties into the Nasrid and Andalusi tradition of culture in that period. The challenge in those days of also making such a piece of such a size and skill it is really like an emblem. It shows the height of your capability and your capacity to produce such an incredible piece. I won't say too much more. The film, I should caveat this presentation by saying that the film is screening, God willing, at 7 o'clock this evening. So I won't go too much into the individual stories, as I would really encourage you and beseech you to come to the film if you still have the strength after a long, informative day. So that's Shuaib. Here's the piece before the enameling process. I mean, you can already see the height of it. I mean, you've all seen it downstairs. You're aware of the dimensions. Of course, an aerial view of the Alhambra from just behind the Albaicin town in front of the Alhambra. And here, the piece contextualized, or in the Alhambra itself, a beautiful picture from the Court of Lions, I believe, in the Alhambra. Next, just to say, actually, I should probably mention that the chapter with Shuaib Sanchez was logistically the most difficult to capture, and that's down to the nature of the many processes, the many stages of production which were required to create the piece. I was beholden to the time that I could commit to each location. And my plan was really to spend 4 or 5 days. That was all my schedule would allow in each location. So I was there at the beginning of this process. And thankfully I had an old friend and colleague who was working in the same field, who lives in the same area as Shoaib and his team. And so I could entrust him to capture the rest of the processes. And alhamdulillah, I'm very, very glad with the material that they captured. Moving to Istanbul and to the art rather than craft of calligraphy, the art which transcends just about all of the artisanal traditions, given its containment within most of the other decorative aspects of the crafts. Denise has beautifully produced an example of a basmala, which is inspired by one of the roundels within the Suleymaniye mosque. And she's produced, you can see her there, it's almost complete. Conversely, this was perhaps the most contained of all the stories. By the nature of it being one person preparing their work in a studio, Denise being extremely, Ustaza being extremely kind and generous and hospitable, and putting up with a small film crew, asking her to repeat things over and over, and endlessly recording the sound of the pen scratching, and all of the whims of the filmmaking process. So this was in some ways the simplest of the films to capture, but equally as rewarding and beautiful. I'm sure you'll agree. Here's one of the domes, the interior, the ceiling of one of the domes, or the main dome in the Suleymaniye mosque. And then moving on to Egypt and Adham Nadim. And Adham and his family are the managers and masterminds behind a wonderful company and organization that is dedicated to the preservation of Egyptian traditional crafts. In particular, you can probably guess the woodwork, the paneling you see behind Adham. And they've produced the wonderful woodwork mashrabiya room in the space downstairs. The foundation was started by his parents, who took their academic interest in these subjects, and then realizing the craft dying out, essentially, or the knowledge of the crafts dying out in Egypt, decided to dedicate their time to documenting, uncovering, and promoting the knowledge transference of this traditional craft to future generations. And now they have really an astonishing company, industry. They have huge projects that they ship and satisfy clients all over the world, really. Here we see a small section of their workshop, and 2 of the craftspeople practicing the ancient craft of wood turning and the mashrabiyat. And here, just a still from a window in the Beit al-Sahami. It's an old building in Cairo, downtown Cairo, which the Nadim Foundation was integral in a round of preservation work a number of years ago, and I think it's a continuing effort. And then to Samarkand, one of the jewels of Central Asia, and a blessed time, really a wonderful time spent with Abdurrahman and his family, who are tile makers and experts in mosaic making and glazed tile work. They've produced the incredible mihrab that you see downstairs. This stems from the Shah Zinda complex in Samarkand. And like many of the artisans, there are similar themes to his story, very much about the passing down, intergenerational transference of knowledge of these crafts, preservation of the historical sites in Samarkand, to which they've been tasked with working on many of the incredible architectural wonders of Samarkand. I'm running out of time, actually, so I'm going to move on. To India, Muhammad Siddiq Bhatti, the master marble carver who's produced the astonishing Jali wall panels downstairs. Having never been to India before, or Uzbekistan for that matter, this was two incredible experiences for me personally. The beauty and across many levels, the countryside, the people, the work was all incredibly humbling and really mind-blowing, really. Here we see the Jali wall panel at the Fatehpur Sikri complex in Rajasthan.